A good chunk of EMP still do go off, and CyberStorm does have an opportunity to turn this around. Now, a lot of Bartjones' base, he is going to try and keep Bartjones on his toes while he's moving actually some bikes over to the... Welcome back, Commander. I am Korak, and this is Kane's Wrath on the map Tournament Odyssey. Starts off in the top right-hand corner of the map wearing the red robe, sporting the nod gloves. Here he is, CyberStorm. His opponent for the moment in the bottom left-hand corner of the map wearing the yellow robe, sporting the GDI gloves. Give it up for Bartjones. Both fighters ready. Begin. We are in the IES Tournament with a $700 prize pool. If you reach the very top of the brackets, this is a best of 9 series in the Group A and Group B. After that, it goes into the semifinals and so on and so forth. I will link I will put a picture of the brackets early on in the video so you can go back and pause. I will even timestamp it for you and blur out any spoilers. If you look up any links online, just be really careful because I am casting this sort of after the fact of the tournament. So there are a couple of matches that already have scores. So if you do not want the spoilers, that would be a good thing to try and avoid, and I'll do the best I can to avoid those spoilers. Both players have begun their scouting phases, getting a little bit of poking, getting a little bit of irritation out on each other. There is the traditional pillbox or foxhole by GDI right next to the power plant, just dealing some damage and getting a little bit of scouting right now. APCs for Bartjones are out, and they're going to be able to push out this buggy from CyberStorm, but that does mean CyberStorm knows that there are APCs with rocket squads heading his way to there. It looks like the Rifleman squad is just going to be able to not quite make it in there. I'm sure he'll be able to group up here in a little bit, but we'll see that. Both players have begun to move over to their national expansion. First set of low power mode for CyberStorm over on that section of the map as Bartjones begins to push his way and try to get some early harassment on CyberStorm in the beginning of this match. We will see a lot of these players probably take some interesting tactics and maybe play just a little bit slower than we would normally see them play because there is a massive prize pool that they will have to end up dealing with, that they will have to prepare for, so they don't want to lose that money, so they're going to be a little bit extra cautious. But we are getting a little bit of back and forward. Laser turrets out for CyberStorm, pushing out the advancement of Bartjones. Bartjones losing an APC and a rocket, and I think a rocket inside that APC as well. But he still has a couple of his forces on the map, and I believe he's going to be able to shark around and find himself a target unless there's another laser turret ready, but that does not matter. There's actually Scorpion tanks here, which are a good counter for him. 3 Scorpion tanks should be enough, especially with the bike and buggies that are building up in the background, and they're probably going to try to push their way around the map. If you watch them on the minimap, if you can see it, they are skirting over the natural expansion as these Scorpions push in there. There's the mine drop right there. Scorpion tanks are going to still continue to take shots at these APCs. That is the strategy, that is the plan. One set of Rifleman squads does manage to pop itself out in order to try to save the APC, but it's not going to be enough. Rest of the APC, or the only remaining APC, and a couple of the rocket squads have made their way out as the bike and buggy combination begin to make their way south to their opponent's natural expansion. They're going to get scattered over here by these pit bulls, but these pit bulls are sort of caught in a bad position, and oh no, there's just quite not enough rockets for it. More and more pit bulls are here, and it looks like they outnumber the bike buggy combination, so these bikes and buggies are on the run. I'm not sure what else they can do with these pit bulls hot on their trail. They're not going to be able to take out a harvester. That would have been a nice kill. He should have committed to one thing or the other, but he got involved, tried to pick off some of the pit bulls, and was unable to make any real purchase. Speaking of pit bulls, I don't think really any of them went north. It looks like most of them went back south to defend themselves, so maybe that was a bit of a aggression in order to get those pit bulls off of his base. That's not a bad strategy. If you're worried about that particular thing. Good chunk of rocket squads over here by CyberStorm, sort of preparing maybe for these APCs or maybe preparing for a transition. Not quite sure yet. It looks like we have an airfield and a tech airfield for Bartjones is out, along with a couple of these hammerheads and a couple of units beginning to build their way up. CyberStorm also has his T3 over there. Rocket squads popping in the hammerheads. It looks like vehicle damage is going to be the name of the game for both factions. It does seem to be gearing up for that. Good chunk of Scorpions. Might need some SAM turrets, but I don't think he knows that just quite yet. I do think we had a decoy armor, and there is the one click by the Nod faction destroying that refinery and almost killing out these harvesters. Harvesters have almost no HP left, but delaying that natural expansion will be big. Here's our Redeemer. Our Reclamator hub is out on the map. That is going to be our first legendary unit, and I'm assuming he's going to build directly into that. I think that he's a little bit ahead of Bartjones on that. Maybe he decided to go a little bit more tech heavy than he needed to, but that would make sense why you would have all these rocket squads and a couple other units in order to support that Redeemer if it comes its way. SAM turret is out over here, and it's going to be able to take out, it looks like, I think that was reinforcements by his opponent. Bartjones beginning his assault, moving his way in, and actually spotting one of these stealth tanks as they move their way in. Pitbull's being able to get some really good shots off here. Probably going to be able to get one harvester done. There it goes. There's the first harvester kill for the match. Scorpions move their way in, pushing these Pitbulls out, but it's too late. The damage is done. They were able to get a pretty decent kill with, I think, no losses over on his section, over on his assault. Hammerheads moving their way in, starting to clean up some of these rocket squads, but the SAM turrets are there for the defense, taking them out, as well as a stealth tank for CyberStorm. CyberStorm moving a little bit of a scout, trying to take a poke at his opponent's base. And it looks like we are still beginning our small dance over here with the Pitbulls. Pitbulls are going to continue to shark their way around, trying to find something to assault. I'm not sure if Bartjones has seen this Reclamator hug, this Redeemer engineering facility. Words are hard. Taken out. It looks like we do actually have the mortar upgrade for the Pitbulls. That's probably not a bad strategy considering all of the Pitbulls that he has. One stealth tank is going to get taken out there. There is the sell-off in order to get, I'm guessing that is a Black Hand Squad, or the Flame unit. I always hear what their name is. And actually, we've got, I didn't notice here, but Bartjones is actually pushed into both secondary natural expansions, and he has a Juggernaut here ready to fight off of these stealth tanks. And I guess we've been missing some combat with these stealth tanks. This stealth tank has actually been upgraded. Marv is up and out for Bartjones. He must have been building in the background, and he's going to try to harvest CyberStorm's resources. CyberStorm needs to move some forces over here and begin to fight this because he's going to run out of resources. Bartjones is at both natural expansion, and CyberStorm needs to move into either over here. He knows that Bartjones is going to be harvesting up all of these resources, and even if Bartjones does get less resources than he would if he naturally harvested it, I'm not sure it matters too much because he's denying a massive amount of resources there for his opponents, but maybe CyberStorm just doesn't have the forces for that. One Juggernaut is going to get taken out by these stealth squads. They are doing a good amount of damage, and that is great for them, but I think one's probably going to get taken out here in a moment. They're getting pushed out by the Pitbulls, but still what's most important is that CyberStorm's going to run out of resources. He needs to move into one of these expansions. There's just no way he can do it. There's another one click, but I'm not sure what that's going to do. You should have provided another one click in another location, but I guess that did take out a couple of harvesters, but I'm not sure how much that's going to be able to help him with that one click. Stealth tank does finally get taken out over by CyberStorm, and CyberStorm is not looking in a bad position. He's pushed on every single field. Bartjones is not pulling any punches. He wants that prize pull. He wants that first place win, and he's going to fight like it. CyberStorm seems to be a little bit lacking, at least in the aggression this time around. He should have been just a bit more forward. He's allowed Bartjones to control the map, to control the game, and most importantly, to control the resources. CyberStorm has got to be hurting for resources. He does have a good chunk of Spectres here that can help against the incoming, not sure quite what that was, but that can help with the incoming units. Oh, actually, that was, it looks like some stealth bombers moving their way over to take out some of these Juggernauts. Not a bad call, taking out two of the Juggernauts in rapid succession. That's going to be super, super great for him. And it looks like he was able to actually kill the Husk as well. And actually, Bartjones has been able to sneak into the base of CyberStorm with all of these Pitbulls, taking out the T3, forcing sell-off of the structure after structure, and being just absolutely uncontested contested over here, and I don't think there's much CyberStorm can do. He is moving in these Scorpions finally, but I think it's too little too late. There are too many Scorpions here, or there are too many Pitbulls here by Bartjones in order to fight this, especially with these upgrades, and CyberStorm has just got to be hurting for economy. He keeps losing unit after unit. At this point, he probably should sell his Reclamator Hub. I'm not sure what all it's going to be able to do for him. Pitbulls do finally get pushed out, and they do see the Redeemer up and about. If this Redeemer can get a good rage gen out and move its way forward, might be a good spot, but he's actually in a really bad spot against all of these Juggernauts. There is the rage gen, and it looks like a couple of shots are going to be killed. We're getting a little bit of a friendly fire because of that rage gen, but I still think it's too little, too late. The forces for Bartjones are on the front doorstep of CyberStorm, and CyberStorm has nothing really left to defend this. He has a couple of Scorpions which are doing him no good in the background right now, and he has a couple of Spectres that continue to get launched out, and Bartjones is attacking from every single possible angle, and CyberStorm's just not keeping up. He has stealth tanks here that he's not using, his Scorpions that he's not using. The only thing he was really moving around was his Redeemer. He just does not have the micro and macro in order to fight Bartjones in this particular match. Maybe he'll have some time to warm up later on, but right now he's getting absolutely decimated. Bartjones is owning the map. Bartjones is owning the resources, and he is owning this match number 1. There it is. There is the GG. CyberStorm sees the writing on the wall, throws in the towel, realizes that he has 8 other games to give this a try. 8 other games to give this a go. And that's if he wins all of them. It is a best of 9 series. Either way, I will see you in match number 2, Commander. Commander, we are in match 2, round 2 of the IES Tournament. On the map, Tournament Highlands. Over on the left-hand side of the map, maintaining the red and maintaining the nod, we have CyberStorm. And still his opponent over in the top right-hand corner of the map in the yellow, sporting the GDI. We have Bartjones. They both maintain their factions and maintain their colors. Hopefully, CyberStorm has learned his lesson, has learned that he needs to get just a bit more control over the map. He cannot let a player like Bartjones just absolutely dominate things like that. It's definitely going to be to his detriment if that happens. First buggy has moved its way out. Scouts are killed. Our Bartjones' scouts are killed in the south, but he's still going to have to worry about the scouts over here in the north. First foxhole is going to be built by Bartjones. The buggy's going to give up and move its way over as another set of GDI infantry begin to make their way over there. Looking for those sneaky nod tactics. That's extremely important. You have to scout out nod. If you don't, you will seriously regret it. This map does have 2 Tiberium spikes on it, for those who don't know, and they're in fairly easy to snag locations for their prospective player, and they do appear to grab that. Second set of scouts for Bartjones are going to be taken out over here. They're not going to be able to see too much, but they were there just long enough probably to catch the natural expansion begin to move its way, the Marv, or MCV, move its way over to the natural expansions for both player. This is a map with a smaller amount of resources, with a large set of Tiberium in the center that forces both players to fight over. There is a bit of blue Tiberium. It doesn't look like Bartjones has grabbed his, and CyberStorm has grabbed his. Hopefully that'll give him some sort of advantage, and give him a fighting chance against a player like Bartjones. Bartjones is moving his way over to his set of blue Tiberium, able to grab that relatively uncontested. The big thing though is Bartjones is going to be able to see those bikes and buggies being able to make his way over to him. Hopefully he's paying attention. Hopefully he's got time to react. He's got a half a load of blue Tiberium, which is a full load of green Tiberium, because it's about twice as effective, if I remember correctly. He's going to get pushed over here. Here are the Pitbulls beginning to move their way in, beginning to grab some easy kills on a couple of these bikes, these pits, versus these bikes and buggies. I believe is going to go in the favor of the Pitbulls, especially because they have the defender's advantage. They have constant reinforcements streaming their way in from Bartjones' base. Harvester does make it back to the base and is going to continue harvesting some green Tiberium, filling itself up, so that trip was worth it. He was able to get a good chunk of early bikes from CyberStorm and get the blue Tiberium. So not only did he bait his opponent in, but he also was able to get those resources. Pitbull's going to continue to back their way up, reverse move, trying to focus on their primary targets, which are going to be the buggies, but they do have defender's advantage, which means that Bartjones is probably going to lose these Pitbulls. He's probably going to lose 4 Pitbulls almost for free, leaving this bike and buggy combination free to begin their harassment. There are a couple of Pitbulls, and the first watchtower is out, as well as a low power mode for this refinery. Bartjones is probably building a power plant. There it is in order to get out of that low power mode, and there's enough Pitbulls here in order to counter the bike and buggy of CyberStorm. Bartjones did make a little bit of a mistake losing those forces, but he was ready for it. He was ready to capitalize on when his opponent was going to be able to move in, and we're seeing more of traditional tactics than we normally get to see here with the Pitbulls versus all of these bikes and buggies. And it does look like we're getting our first real skirmish, first real back and forward, and it looks like Bartjones is really more on top of it when it comes to the micro. Aside from that one instance, CyberStorm has just been losing bike and buggy after bike and buggy. However, it does appear that Bartjones has been a little bit more on the defensive. Maybe he's focusing on economy, not a bad strategy. CyberStorm electing to go for this Tiberium spike, which could be potentially good. It's going to cost Bartjones money, but it's going to cost CyberStorm money if these units get caught by these Pitbulls. Well, another bike goes down, and the whittling continues, the back and forward continues, but CyberStorm does not have the forces in order to fight these in order to fight all of these Pitbulls over here in the north, and loses once again the majority of his forces. Yeah, now that he's on his side of the map, he does have that little bit of defender's advantage, while CyberStorm sends it a little bit over to scout over here. But the unfortunate thing is all of these Pitbulls are absolutely uncontested inside the base of CyberStorm. CyberStorm moving his harvesters out, which means he's no longer getting those resources. You don't necessarily have to destroy the harvester in order to stop them. There is the strike killing another harvester. That is not looking great for CyberStorm. CyberStorm is getting a little bit crushed here. The game is not over, but he does have a lot of forces inside his base. Looks like Bartjones has decided to grab more hammerheads and has built an airfield somewhere on the map. Let's see if we were able to get a T3 out for CyberStorm. That does not appear to be the case. That would make sense. He is building a large number of bike and buggy. He does have a lot more forces. But if he's not careful, Bartjones is just going to move directly into his base. All of these hammerheads, all of these Pitbulls just absolutely on his front doorstep, killing what little harvesters he does have here. If he's not careful, he's going to start losing out on the resources. And there it is. There's the GG. CyberStorm decided to throw in the towel. He lost too many early units, and the thing is, Bartjones was on his front doorstep constantly with more and more reinforcements over and over. I think he lost just too many units sort of haphazardly early on in the game, causing this slow snowball effect by Bartjones. Bartjones was able to capitalize on the small mistakes here and there of CyberStorm and was able to have the micro. Either way, I'll see you in match 3, round 3, Commander. Here we are, Commander, moving into match 3, round 3 between Bartjones and CyberStorm on the map Tournament Underground. Over on the left-hand side of the map, we do have CyberStorm keeping his red, keeping his nod. The only real change-up we have is Bartjones has moved to Traveler 59 this time around. He's trying to keep CyberStorm on his back foot, and the name of the game for the last round was baiting. He was able to bait over and over and get a good chunk of advantages until it was just no longer able to take it, until his opponent, CyberStorm, was just no longer able to take it. Tournament Underground is actually a map I don't get to see too much, at least in my cast. I'm pretty sure it's, probably relatively popular, especially considering how old these maps are. They've all been played a million times, but at least for me, it's quite refreshing to see Tournament Underground. It is a map that I do get to see quite a good amount. Buzzer Squad's being a little bit cheeky over on the southern section of the map, playing a little bit of Ring Around the Rosies with the buggy, but it was not enough to really do too much. First set of garrison units are going to be able to move their way in, and these towers are actually in really good spots to see units coming. It does look like there is a contested Tiberium spike in the south, and I think in the north as well. Yep, there's a contested Siberian spike on each one. That could play a pretty good advantage, and it looks like instead of both players sort of moving in a reverse motion, it looks like the name of the game is to move north for both factions, for both players, and that does appear to be what they're going from these natural expansions, or this first natural expansion into this secondary natural expansion. There's also a good amount of elevation on this map. I feel like this map has got a lot. The mini map is a little messy, but that's nothing really to write home about. We are getting a Gunwalker and a Seeker Tank moving their way into the base of CyberStorm. Not going to be able to do too much, but they are going to poke their heads in and see what they can see. Make sure that this non-faction is not doing something sneaky like an all-in. And they don't appear to be doing that. It looks like CyberStorm has elected to go for the same bike and buggy combination, which can be particularly helpful. I would like to see CyberStorm transition into maybe some avatars and a good chunk of man spam. I've seen Futurama do that really, really well into Traveler 59 and into the Skrin sub-factions. Just having all of those targets there and the rocket squads are really good for dealing with the tripods. I don't actually know how well they deal into like planetary assault carriers and things like that. We are getting our first little skirmish over here, our first real skirmish over here, but I think the victor is going to be Bartjones. Yeah, Bartjones is able to get that bike almost for free. Yeah, pretty much for free. Only took a small amount of damage on one of his Seeker tanks, but these bike and buggies are not done. They're continuing to move their way in, trying to get a kill. If he can get some early advantages on Bartjones, that will make a pretty decent difference early on in the game. But here comes the Seeker tanks moving their way in. It looks like the forces of CyberStorm are relatively committed in this, and he's decided to group his way up inside of Bartjones' base. He is going to try and keep Bartjones on his toes while he's moving actually some bikes over to the secondary natural expansion of his opponent. There is going to be one photon cannon over here, and there's the body block by the extractor, but it's too little too late. These bikes actually make their way out relatively unscathed. That was much, much better. That's more of what we want to see from CyberStorm. Those good tactics over here. He took a note from Bartjones. He baited the forces down south with his majority of his bike and buggy while he moved 3 bike and buggy over in the north. He did get a minor advantage. He did get a minor thing over there, but it was not enough to make a massive difference. But taking out one harvester early on can make a difference in the long run, especially when it comes to a large amount of these resources. Secondary national expansion is under a lot of scrutiny, is under a lot of pressure by CyberStorm. CyberStorm has been way more aggressive this time around, but it's very good for him. He's been able to take out harvester after harvester, and I think he might get another one here in a second. The bikes do go back for the another kill, but here are the forces of Bartjones beginning to push out his opponent, as well as these turrets here. He was able to get another harvester down, and so that could be particularly great if he is choosing to transition into something more powerful. That will definitely be super helpful, but Bartjones is here to cut him off at every corner that he possibly can to whittle down the forces of his opponents like he did that first game. Or sorry, second game, where he was able to whittle down a good chunk of CyberStorm's forces. CyberStorm still beginning to shark around with his forces. He was able to grab almost a full load of blue Tiberium. That with the combination of starting to whittle down the harvesters of Bartjones, those little bitty things can make a difference, especially if he is planning a transition. I really want him to see him do this transition instead of laying heavily into bike and buggy. But once again, most of these players are significantly better than I am with this game, so it's easy to say from the casting chair, at least speed-wise, but I do feel like this combination is only going to work so long, and CyberStorm is playing a bit of a dangerous game. He is moving his buggies in to absorb most of the damage and sort of distract the forces of his opponents as more and more bikes begin to move their way in and taking out another one of these harvesters. Harvester after harvester just absolutely gets eviscerated, and maybe even a Mechapede here in a minute. No, but Bartjones has the micro and macro in order to keep this Mechapede alive. I say that just as soon as either he gets blinked out or destroyed. I think he got blinked out, as well as more and more reinforcements. It looks like Bartjones has transitioned in into these mechapedes and begin to move his way, begin to push his opponent out. More and more bike and buggy are making their way over here for the reinforcements, and I mean, it can play out. Maybe he's in too deep to make a switch right there, but a mechapede does get taken down, and the forces for Bartjones are getting whittled down slowly, time and time again. It doesn't look like the Prodigy was able to get out in time, but he does know that Prodigy is round. More and more mechapedes begin to move their way in. And it's very rare actually to see Bartjones on his back foot. Even when he is on his back foot, though, he's always pushing forward. He's always doing more. And oh no, we got a headshot on the mechapede. That's the third mechapede down for Bartjones. That's got to sting. Those units are not cheap. There goes a little bit of a blink. Oh, and look, there's a tiny forklift right here. Sorry, I got distracted. Mechapede after mechapede is getting taken out. CyberStorm being very, very good with his micro and macro. There is the mechapede that did escape. Another mechapede is moving its way in, and there goes another one taken down, and there is the stasis filled by Bartjones collapsing on a good chunk of these units, but the bikes and buggies are probably too fast in order to do that. I think Bartjones actually continues to lose out on this fight. Segment does go down, but I think there was a little bit of a blink there for Bartjones. Bartjones is just absolutely getting crushed here a little bit. He is still maintaining his own, but these bike and buggies are being way more effective than I thought. And oh no, there's a harvester that's getting caught out. Hopefully CyberStorm sees that. That would be a good and easy kill. It's already at half HP. Prodigy gets taken out. Bartjones is using unit after unit. T3 is scouted for Bartjones. He's going to be able to see that coming. But CyberStorm is going to continue to go for his opponent's resources. He learned from his match last time. You've got to control the Tiberium. And there it is. Bartjones sees the writing on the wall, sees that he's just not able to keep up, and knows that he's not able to move into his secondary natural expansion, unlike he suspects that his opponent probably has done. That was a great match 3, round 3. I'll see you in number 4. There you are, Commander. Welcome to Tiki Turmoil in this match 4, round 4 between Bartjones and CyberStorm. Both players have elected to hang on to their current colors, but it does look like we got a little bit of a switch to Scrin off of Traveler 59 for Bartjones, and it looks like CyberStorm has decided to go GDI this time around, the classic powerhouse. We're not going to be able to see the man spam that we saw, or that I would normally like to see, at least in the mid to late game. But CyberStorm did manage to use bike and buggy to great effect, and that may have been the call with how big of a map Tournament Underground was. So maybe I'm mistaken there when it comes to that strategy. I do know that bike and buggy doesn't do particularly well into too many things late game, but I guess if you're able to get harvester after harvester taken out, it can make a pretty big difference, especially when it comes to your transitions and everything else. It looks like Bartjones is elected to go a little bit heavy on the infantry side with these disintegrators. Disintegrators do a good chunk of damage to a lot of these stationary targets, and they're going to be able to get an early lightning spike or Tiberium tower for his opponent. I don't know why I can't speak Tiberium spike. They are going to get taken out probably by this APC sort of slowly, lazily moving its way forward into these descents. But I think the damage is done. Losing that Tiberium spike is going to be not a detriment, but it will make a difference the longer and longer the game goes on. Disintegrators finally get taken out over here by CyberStorm. Bartjones losing those units, but continuing his scouting over here. More and more APCs are beginning to move their way around. Maybe he's predicting something a little bit faster. Maybe he's just trying to mix up his tactics over here and do something quick and in a hurry with these APCs and rocket squads. Not a bad strategy, especially if you accompany them with a couple of pit bulls. It can be quite a nice combination. Another player has dropped a refinery yet on their natural expansion, focusing more and more on these units. I'm kind of curious to see what the transition is going to be for Bartjones. Does look he's got a gunwalker, so maybe gunwalkers and seekers after those disintegrators, and couple of light infantry that he had poking around. Not that he wasn't able to find some purchases, some advantages with those units. He's able to get that spike, which is early, which is really nice. It stacks up over time, and those spikes never come back. Once they are destroyed, they are destroyed. APC's beginning to move their way into the base of Bartjones, and it looks like CyberStorm is probably trying to go for the throat, but instead these two gunwalkers here are here in order to soak up some of this damage. These are not going to be able to do as much damage as sort of the bike and buggy combination. APCs are pretty decent, and they're relatively fast, but they're nowhere near as fast. They don't pack the same kind of punch. However, not rocket squads, the bikes for Nod are a little bit of a glass cannon. They have a lot of speed, a good amount of damage, but they do not take damage particularly well. Gunwalkers versus APCs does appear to be sort of a neutral fight over here. Losing only one APC in Rocket Squad wasn't particularly horrible, and it looks like this Harvester is going to heal up over time, sort of undoing the damage of CyberStorm. It does look like Bartjones is the first to grab his blue Tiberium. That's gonna make, no, maybe not. Maybe CyberStorm grabbed the blue Tiberium, or maybe I just missed it. Either way, he had a Harvester just sort of going off on the distance and sort of doing its own thing. We are getting our little bit of Predator tanks over here by CyberStorm. CyberStorm choosing that as his transition. Not a bad thing to move into for these Gunwalkers, but I suspect these Gunwalkers are more of just a temporary fix. He is building a couple of the Gunwalkers, but nothing really to write home out. We're not seeing a crazy amount of units. CyberStorm does appear to have more units on the map, but maybe Bartjones is saving up for something in particular. And there it is. There is the T3, but most importantly, I believe he's going to be able to see. I believe CyberStorm is going to be able to see that. Yeah, CyberStorm does see that T3, and he knows that it's on the way. So he's got to do something about that relatively quickly. Otherwise, he's going to run out on the tech. And there is our first little bit of tripods. That does appear to be what Bartjones was saving up for. He's decided to go for quality over quantity when it comes to that. Looks like we're gonna get a little bit of revenge over here by CyberStorm. He's gonna take out the lightning spike of his, or lightning spike, that's Tiberium spike of his opponent, almost completely uncontested. We do get our first mana tank, but most importantly, Bartjones saw that because of his Gunwalker, so he knows mana tanks are on their way. That can make a difference over here in this fight. We have two tripods out, and we have shields for the Gunwalkers. Gunwalkers are gonna be able to absorb a good chunk of damage while the tripods begin to crush and destroy his opponent. Sensing something coming, CyberStorm has begun to back his way out and was able to get a free kill on a Gunwalker. Every little bit like that does make a difference. And actually, it looks like we missed a little bit of sell-off over here. I think Bartjones was able to sneak in and probably grab one of the refineries of his opponents. I think that's what we missed right there. That's why we have GDI infantry for Bartjones, which you normally wouldn't get. I doubt he just mind controlled that. So I think he was able to sneak an engineer in there and force the sell-off. There is actually another mastermind right there. It's going to grab one of these mana tanks, forcing forcing CyberStorm to destroy one of his own mana tanks. That is a good little bit of grab over here. He's being extremely cheeky with these sort of like, not necessarily hit and run tactics, but these more saboteur tactics. We're probably going to see another mastermind grab another mana tank if he's not careful. And actually, while this fight's going on, the mastermind's going to move its way in on the northern units, in on these mana tanks, but he's going to get taken out as the forces for Bartjones begin to get their way pushed out over here. Shields go down on these Gunwalkers, but that's kind of what they are there for. But the most important thing is losing this tripod. If he's not careful, his opponent could end up with that tripod. It is close to his front line unless the mana tanks run it over here in a second. They do decide to avoid it, and hopefully he decides to protect it and grab it, because that would be a great gain on it. Buzzer squads do get warped in to try to take out the corpse, and they do actually manage to get it, either that or the remaining rockets of his opponent. Probably a misclick of a harvester over here for Bartjones, but the important part is Bartjones is going to see more and more of these units, more and more of these mana tanks by CyberStorm beginning to slowly push their way in. CyberStorm needs to tighten up his formation just a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better for this fight. A lot of players get stuck in this like sort of weird position over here, and they get caught off by players like Bartjones, where they move from the north and the south. There's a lot of spots to cut off your opponent. And oh look, we got another tiny forklift. Have these been in the game the whole time and I've never seen these? We're getting a little bit of engagement. I'm getting distracted. It looks like we lost 2 APCs with 2 rocket squads inside them. They are sort of there to absorb the damage, but losing them still makes a difference, especially for these fights that they are gearing up on. And we're still getting this back and forward. It doesn't look like one opponent has been pressured into their base too much, except for Bartjones able to grab that refinery, selling off, getting the resources for that, and able to destroy a mammoth tank. I would think in the terms of unit count and the terms of resources, I think that Bartjones is probably on top of it when it comes to that. Both players have moved in their natural expansion. And the biggest thing I've noticed is this blue Tiberium has gone uncontested. Actually, we have an Eradicator Hexapod blinking onto the map as Hammerheads begin to move their way in, I think taking out one of the Prodigies. That is super, super great. Gunwalker's going to be able to move their in. They are air defense, for those who don't know. They're one of the few units that can point its way out. Lightning Spike is going to get a little bit of a scouting over here in order to poke, and Bartjones does not want that fight just quite yet. He wants to be able to back up and get something done over here. A couple of shock troopers and disintegrators for Bartjones, maybe here to just sort of test the waters and see what they can see. Hammerheads moving their way over to the secondary natural expansion of Bartjones. Getting a good scout off would be particularly great, but there is a plasma missile battery here for it. And the important part, well, I guess Bartjones already did know that GDI has air out already. That's probably pretty obvious. I'm kind of curious if we're going to get air for Bartjones, or if he's going to lean real heavily into these tripods. Eradicator Hexapod is poking around, trying to get a couple of kills off on these mammoth tanks, but he is in a rather bad position. There is the blink, I'm assuming, backwards somewhere on the map. More and more of these harvesters are sort of going all over the place for Bartjones. I wonder if those are serving a purpose, or if he's just not quite paying attention to it. It looks like the pathing has it going towards the blue Tiberium, and that might be what his goal is, but if he's not careful, it's going to get taken out. Yeah, there's the Hammerheads. But and the most important part is that Bartjones is now uncontested inside the old main base of his opponent, and CyberStorm, I believe, just noticed that his opponent was inside his base. That's going to be unfortunate. It's not the end of things if he loses that base, but every little bit counts, and so far the gains have been on Bartjones' side. He has decided that he's going to lift over and over, get his small practice reps in before the main thing happens. One mana tank does get taken down as these tripods begin to move their way out, just not able to kill the refinery maybe the way they wanted. Maybe they're worried about getting caught off guard or in a bad position. I believe we got a drop of units right there of zone troopers. We do have corruptors over here to support this Eradicator Hexapod, at least when it blinks back and forward, but this is still a good amount of mana tanks for CyberStorm. CyberStorm can still turn this around, but right now Bartjones has begun these small whittling tactics, taking out unit after unit. And for those of you who don't know, the Eradicator Hexapod, when it kills a unit, it does get a little bit of resources for its controller, for Bartjones in this case. And that may be what he's trying to go for. He's just poking for these small advantages over and over. I do believe it looks like whether he was able to take it back to the base or not, it doesn't look like Bartjones was able to grab some of his opponent's blue Tiberium, and CyberStorm appears to be doing the same thing, grabbing the Tiberium by his opponent, I should say. Eradicator Hexapod, and there it is. There's the planetary assault carriers over here to support all that. I suspected that would come, and that is a good call because it doesn't look like there's enough anti-air over here to fight that. That might be the nail in the coffin for CyberStorm. Those planetary assault carriers are going to be a lot to deal with, considering there's also 4 of them with an Eradicator Hexapod who is able to get a kill on a couple of these mana tanks, giving himself more and more resources. Things are not looking good for CyberStorm. This is the majority of CyberStorm's forces. He needs these kills, but he is going to be able to move in a couple of these Hammerheads and take out a few of the what are they called? A few of the tripods. But I think it doesn't matter. It's too little too late between the Eradicator Hexapod and all of these air units. There is not an answer to this. There is not enough slingshots. Looks like there's 2, but that's really about it in order to fight all of these drone ships. There's 4 drone ships with a massive amount of drones, and Bartjones is sort of going all in here. He's doing a little bit of a base push, moving his drone ship onto the front line to pressure his opponent, and he should. He has the advantage here, and actually there's a lightning spike there in order to protect things out. He's here to stay. A good chunk of EMP still do go off, and CyberStorm does have an opportunity to turn this around. Now, a lot of these tripods are absolutely out of the fight, while the one click is on the forces of CyberStorm. CyberStorm may be able to turn this fight around. He's able to do a good chunk of damage. Eradicator Hexapod just barely making out of there on time. He is just barely winning this fight. This is anyone's game to lose. The biggest problem is these planetary assault carriers, and I feel like this bubble has lasted for absolute forever. Bubble is finally up, and CyberStorm has begun to move his way in. More and more slingshots here to fight these planetary assault carriers. Corruptors are beginning to heal. This Eradicator Hexapod gets another blink back for keeping that unit alive. Is going to be absolutely massive. There is a staggering amount of slingshots over here for CyberStorm. This is absolute anarchy. This is absolute chaos, and it looks like Bartjones is backing up just a little bit in order to get that slingshot's able to get one of the planetary assault carriers. Two planetary assault carriers are absolutely down on their unit. There's another lightning spike, and Bartjones is not giving up this fight. Whoever wins this fight is going to win the match. This could still be anyone's game. All of these slingshots are just doing a staggering amount of damage, and there's no tripods or Eradicator Hexapod in order to contest them. CyberStorm may have been able to pull this around, and the biggest thing though too is if Bartjones loses this fight, he loses his drone platform, he loses his MCV, and oh no, it looks like this is turning in CyberStorm's favor. Slingshot keeps destroying planetary assault carrier after planetary assault carrier. There's another one click trying to kill a couple of these slingshots, but it is an absolute vain. CyberStorm is on top of this, taking out unit after unit. However, he doesn't have enough to continue the assault. He only has these slingshots to deal with his opponent. He needs to back up his slingshots in order to stop the Gunwalker from destroying it. There is a couple of mammoth tanks and a couple of zone troopers. I don't know if they were dropped off from the hammerheads. Yeah, that does appear to be the case. The zone troopers have decided to go ground and move their way in, which means Bartjones is going to lose his drone platform. I'm not sure if he has anything else left in the tank in order to fight this. He's going to lose a good chunk of stuff here, and he did lose the lion's share of his units. However, CyberStorm is also hurting for resources. The biggest difference being, there it is, there is the GG. Bartjones lost that final fight and decided that he didn't have anything left in the tank in order to fight that. So far, that is one of the more exciting rounds I've seen in this series. I'm hoping to see more and more of that. That definitely could have gone either way. I wasn't able to catch to see if there was enough to change that with Micro Rise, but CyberStorm turnaround with all those slingshots made a massive difference, and he was able to pull one over on Bartjones. Things are heating up, Commander. I'll see you in the next match. Welcome to match number 5, Commander. We are on Tournament LA. Looks like our players have decided to maintain their colors. However, both Bartjones and CyberStorm have decided to go GDI this time around. Maybe Bartjones seeing sort of the writing on the wall, seeing that GDI was a bit of a powerhouse in that last match and just not able to compensate against that. So he decided to do a bit of a mirror in order to deal with his opponent. I don't actually know how things break down with GDI versus GDI. I mean, obviously it's a mirror match, but I kind of wonder what the linchpin is with this particular faction, like what they're looking for, if there's a particular rush or just a particular thing that's just generically good against GDI, or if it's about small gains. We'll get to see either way. These players are both skilled enough where we can see some more of those notes. CyberStorm is a bit of a different player for me when it comes to predicting. I don't get to see him in too many matches, which is kind of unfortunate to me. I do like watching him play, and I do like casting him when he plays. So it'll be really interesting to see what he does. I'm always excited to see him up and going. Both players have decided to put rifleman squads, get some scouts inside of their opponent's base. Bartjones a little bit quicker on the pillbox, deciding where he wants to do that. I would have actually moved the pillbox a little over here so you could hit both sets of power plants. But you know, that's pretty nitpicky for the most part. It does look like they actually gave up on building the pillbox instead, for whatever reason. Maybe he is trying to find a more central central location. It's also a bit of a weird map for me. I don't get to see Tournament LA too much, and I don't really know what to expect. It looks like the rotation for everybody is sort of going, I'm guessing in this direction. Yeah, that does appear to be where everyone's putting their natural expansions over there. A good chunk of APCs couple with rockets inside of them. They're able to flush out his opponent over there. And I'm assuming the same thing's probably going to happen over on this side of the map. That doesn't appear to be the case. There are the APCs with the rockets. We haven't seen those be particularly effective yet by either CyberStorm or Bartjones, but you know, it can add up. Bartjones definitely being way more cheeky, costing his opponent some money with this power plant. If he just never decides to repair it, I guess he can finally destroy it at one point if he wants to, but I'm not sure how much that's going to do. Bartjones continuing his dance over here in the center. I'm not sure if he was able to grab the blue Tiberium that was there, if it has gone up at all. I don't know Tournament LA really at all when it comes to any of these, so I don't remember if the Tiberium. Oh, and actually we do get a little bit of a snipe. The Pitbulls for Bartjones were able to take out his opponent's Tib Spike before they were able to make their way into it. That has got to be really frustrating, because not only do you lose the Tib Spike, but you lose the bonus you get from the Tib Spike. For those who don't know, when you send an engineer into it, that engineer basically gets refunded when he goes in. I don't remember if it's a full refund, but you do get some resources. And the most important part is that Bartjones is over here on the natural expansion of his opponents with these Pitbulls. There is going to be a tower here finally in order to push out Bartjones, and that's going to be just enough in order to do that. But I think the damage is really done at that point. I mean, I guess he didn't do too much. He didn't even get the refinery down to half HP, but the important part is he was getting some scouting done and doing some poking around. And it looks like we're getting a little bit of mirroring when it comes to the units. I say that, but it doesn't look like CyberStorm's actually going into too many Pitbulls. I've seen 2 so far. Bartjones seems to be a bit more heavy when it comes to his Pitbull production, and in my opinion, how it should be. There is the first little bit of mind drop, but APC versus APC, CyberStorm actually has the advantage here, moving his way in, taking out 2 of the APCs of Bartjones and not losing any units except for, I think, those rifleman squads that popped their way out in order to save the APC. Definitely a cost-effective strategy, and seems to be sort of the norm. There is the reinforcements for Bartjones, 2 APCs and a Pitbull with a little bit of rank to each one of them. Those can make a difference over time. They are grouping their way right now with one another. Bartjones actually doing a little bit of long distance harvesting on his opponents. Not sure, maybe it's a quick trip from the main base. Maybe that's the strategy right there. Reinforcements over here by CyberStorm are taken out by the forces of Bartjones. Bartjones is already on his opponent's base. He snuck in here before I was able to see anything, and unit after unit is going to get taken out. However, the defender's advantage is here for his opponent. One more APC does get taken out. It would be nice to see that watchtower or maybe a harvester taken down here in a moment. We actually have a little bit of orcas. I didn't see Bartjones build these orcas as they begin to take out another harvester. These things are not looking good for CyberStorm. CyberStorm is on his back foot, and he's gonna be losing harvester after harvester. I don't think there's anything that he can do. He's trying to run away, and he did actually escort them into the mines. That was pretty cheeky over there, dealing a good amount of damage, destroying most of these units. CyberStorm actually able to turn that around a little bit. He did lose a good chunk of units, but running over those mines was not particularly great for him. Bartjones sort of moving both to the left and to the right. Maybe this is maybe the transition was a little bit different than I expected. We do get our first Marv with our Reclamator hub. I was calling the nod version of that the Reclamator hub, but the Reclamator hub is obviously for the Marv. I of course missed that. Scouts do finally get taken out. Those garrison units do finally get taken out over there. First set of orcas moving their way in, almost destroying full thing of Tiberium in one of these harvesters. Another set of orcas moving their way in for CyberStorm, but they're going to get intercepted. No, actually, I thought those were Firehawks. They are going to get intercepted by these Pitbulls, though. That's not going to be particularly good for their for CyberStorm. CyberStorm's going to lose unit after unit, and actually he is able to wrap up that harvester, but I think it was not worth the gains. He does take out 2 harvesters with 2 full sets of blue or of Tiberium that can add up, but I'm not sure if it was worth all of these orcas. Sending in orcas sort of onesies and twosies, I don't think it's going to be able to do too much for CyberStorm. CyberStorm has built his first Juggernaut and has got his first couple sets of Pitbulls out in order to combat his opponent. CyberStorm is going to lose another harvester. That's going to be unfortunate, losing that blue Tiberium, although there was not a lot there in order to grab. Bartjones is sort of controlling the center of the map rather well. Wow, that tree looks like it's an enemy unit on the mini-map. Oh, look, we got a cow. So we do have a couple of pit bulls moving their way over into the secondary natural expansion of Bartjones. Maybe trying to poke around, see what kills he can get. And actually, if he can get a good shot on this Marv, that would be particularly great, but it looks like the defenses are here. Oh, please, please see the Marv. No, CyberStorm doesn't get to it quite in time. Maybe not, actually. That MCV is already at half HP. However, the Sonic Emitter is here in order to do the damage. That could have been so much better if CyberStorm was able to commit to that fight. He had the damage. If he'd been able to get a couple more shots off, he might have actually been able to take out that MCV, putting Bartjones in a particularly terrible position. I think I did hear another Marv get deployed, probably by CyberStorm here somewhere. The big thing, though, with CyberStorm is he's going to run out of resources here. Bartjones just being absolutely on top of it when it comes to controlling all of these resources. Right now, Marvestein getting what resources he can over here on this natural expansion. Maybe I was right. Maybe that is how it goes. Just Bartjones is mixing things up in order to push his way opponent. And we actually have Bartjones pushing his way with 2 Mammoth tanks into his opponent's base. They're going to be able to get a good amount of damage and actually a little bit of a crush on a couple of units here and there. I wonder if the Mammoth tanks can get a crush on the Juggernauts. Probably not, right? Now, one does get taken out, though, but these 2 Juggernauts have been able to do a good amount of damage just for them being by themselves. I'm not sure what else they're going to be able to do as they get taken out and destroyed over there, but he is actually not done. There's the rail cannon upgrade as another Mammoth tank moves its way over here, and it's going to be able to take out this tech center for CyberStorm. CyberStorm does finally have his Marv out. He's going to be able to Marvest his resources. Oh, no, actually, he's not. He's going to get EMP'd and Sonic Emitter. Bartjones is waiting for him. He set up a trap, and he's going to be able to take out the last lifeline of CyberStorm. I'm not sure if CyberStorm's going to be able to get out of this at all. This Marv is at half HP, and there's only 1 engineer in it instead of the traditional 2. There are a couple of reinforcements moving their way in, but I think it might be too little too late. Maybe he can make it out just in time. He is going to continue to repair, and he just barely makes it out. But the thing is like, even if the fight doesn't happen, even if the Marv doesn't go down, the fact is CyberStorm doesn't have the resources. He doesn't have control over his secondary natural expansion, and it's beginning to show. Bartjones has a lot more resources to throw at his opponent. He's willing to make trades over and over because he has this money. Sell-off does happen for this Sonic Emitter, but it was too little too late as the it looks like Zone Trooper Hammerheads move their way in, beginning to take out these high-cost units for his opponent. Rig is going to get deployed just in time. No, it gets taken out before really anything can happen. Marv's in a bad position as he's getting killed by these Juggernauts, losing that unit, and oh no, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not sure what CyberStorm can do. He's losing expensive unit after expensive unit, not able to control any part of the map. Bartjones showing once again why he is one of these higher skilled players in this game, controlling the map, controlling the resources, and he's been able to bait his opponent in over and over and put his opponent exactly where he wants every time. And we saw that with the Marv. Things are continuing to heat up, Commander. I will see you in match number 6. Commander, in match number 6, round 6, between Bartjones and CyberStorm. On the map, Toxicity. Both players have maintained their colors and maintained their factions, both sticking with GDI on their respective sides of the map. Toxicity is actually in my opinion, it's a fairly balanced map. I really like the flow of it. You don't have as much crazy fights, but there are plenty of opportunities in plenty of different areas. It's just a map I quite enjoy. I think there's 2 Tiberium spikes, if I remember correctly, per player. That does appear to be the case. There's an EMP control center, which I never really see anyone try to grab. And there's also a defensive tower, which I'm not sure, you know, what all that's going to do. I've never really seen anyone pop some units in it for that. And this is also one where they mirror each other and move south instead of north, like that other map. Getting a little bit of scouting over here by Bartjones. Bartjones moving in his traditional rifleman squads, looking for a pillbox location. Watchtower is popped its way down, and it's going to be able to knock out those infantry as the other infantry begin to move their way into the north. And actually, Bartjones decided to go for the Tiberium Spike of his opponent. I guess that's not a bad thing, especially if he pops the pillbox up. He's going to be able to see a good chunk of stuff, but maybe that's not his goal. Maybe he's going to keep being a pest on this pillbox, or on this Tiberium Spike. There is the first pillbox for Bartjones. He seems to be much quicker on that than his opponent. There's the second pillbox for him. That does seem to be a rather good strategy for scouting, and it's super annoying, and it costs you money, especially when you're hitting, for example, this Tiberium Spike, because either you have to repair that and you lose money for repairing it, or it's weakened when someone moves their way in. APC rocket squads for Bartjones are on the map, but it does look like CyberStorm is going to be able to see that. I'm not sure if CyberStorm was as quick as he was when it comes to getting out those APCs. That does not appear to be the case. It looks like the macro for these units has been much quicker on Bartjones' side. Bartjones deciding to try and take out one of these towers before he moves his way in. That would leave him uncontested and unmolested moving his way forward. And that is why we don't have APCs, because we have transitioned into Predator tanks for CyberStorm. Secondary Watchtower is over here. Third Watchtower is over here, pushing out the forces of his opponent, pushing out the forces of Bartjones. And they're not going to be able to do too much. I take that back. They do take out a rocket squad, which is going to make a difference overall. But Bartjones decided to go for the safe bet, has decided to go for this Tiberium Spike. Not a bad strategy as the pillbox begins to soak up more and more damage. There is the low power mode, forcing one of the refineries having to be turned off. He did finally fix that over there in the end. And actually, Bartjones might be able to take out one of these Predator tanks. That would be particularly great for him. There goes one Predator tank, and that the Tiberium Spike is still up and running for the time being. Bartjones doing a pretty good amount of damage with these APCs, sort of showing the difference between these two players' skill set. I don't know if CyberStorm has just been out of the game for a little bit while, or if Bartjones just makes people look like that when it comes to his tactics, when it comes to him playing. He's a very aggressive player. He's very kind of Johnny on the spot when it comes to this strategy or with that strategy. Actually, we missed a little bit of a pillbox over here on the blue Tiberium for CyberStorm, but I'm not sure how much that's going to do. It's going to get taken out rather quickly here by the Pitbulls. Bartjones has begun his transition into Predators and Pitbulls. Good, decent strategy, especially because he can tell that his opponent is transitioning into more vehicle-heavy things, and the APCs are less and less useful. Good chunk of rockets here, ready and waiting, probably going to get either in these hammerheads or whatnot. It does look like CyberStorm is moving his way over in the north, but I think Bartjones should be prepared for it. He might lose a Harvester here. I'm not sure. We'll get to see how he commits. A couple of Orcas moving their way in, probably going for one of the refineries. And actually, if Bartjones is not careful, he may lose his own Harvester over here. Taking some pot shots at that power plant. Not going to do too much in the long run, but the important part is that he's going to be able to scout this airfield with looks like Firehawks in order to deal with his opponent, and he's also going to know that that tech field is there as well. Bartjones beginning to move his way over on this northern area, regrouping with his forces, seeing that his opponent has the Orcas moving forward like he just did a moment ago, seeing a little bit of mirror tactics, but it looks like Bartjones is a little bit on top of things, a little bit faster than CyberStorm when it comes to moving his forces forward and whatnot. Sell-off of the refinery, not sure if that was intentional, not sure if it did a lot of damage, or if Bartjones was just looking for more resources in order to continue his expansion, in order to continue his advance. Lightning Spike has been able to heal its way all the way up with a repair that did cost money, but keeping that Lightning Spike up will be pretty important, especially if you can keep it up the majority of the game. Hammerheads are going to start poking their way around, looking to see what they can kill. I'm not sure. It looks like they have rocket squads inside them. They are going all the way around to do something cheeky. Having a bit of an air battle over here. We have Firehawk versus Firehawk moving their way in, probably getting some bombs in. I'm not sure if they were able to get a kill off on anything. They are going to see that his opponent has T3. Probably not super detrimental to that. First Marv is out by CyberStorm. CyberStorm does seem to be a little bit quicker on popping out the Marvs, and that's what he's doing. Bartjones still looking for an opening for his hammerheads with rocket squads inside of them. Not able to get anything super fast just yet. I don't know why I keep getting random. That's got to be, oh, those are air units. There we go. Hammerheads have begun to move their way in on the harvesters, almost uncontested, almost unmolested whatsoever. And there's going to be a second harvester down. If they can get a third harvester, that'll be super great. But the Firehawks are here to take out his opponents as well as that. But they did deal the damage that they wanted to deal. One Predator tank is going to get caught in a little bit of a bad spot, but I think he's there entirely to scout. And the most important part is that he's going to see his opponent has a Marv up and running and is probably heading towards his base. How Bartjones deals with that Marv, I think, will make or break this particular fight. However, the other thing, though, too, is CyberStorm hasn't moved forward on his economy too much. Maybe he's putting a lot of bank into that harvester or that Marv to steal a bunch of resources from his opponent, which can be particularly great. But like if he's completely unescorted, that's not going to be particularly great. And he keeps losing resources after resources. That's his fourth harvester down, probably a little more after that. And those were going for Blue Tiberian. That was definitely needed. Air fight is continuing over here in the airfield for Bartjones. Is going to take it out, but I'm not sure he cares too much. He's going to move his way over here into his opponent's base and begin to turn around trying to get this Marv. Marv is going to get EMP'd and is absolutely unprotected. CyberStorm just not knowing what to do with his Marv, maybe expecting these tactics would work on a less skilled player, but it's not going to be able to do too much. He's able to get a little bit of Marvisting off, but it's barely anything at all. And when one Marv goes down, another one pops right back up. It looks like Bartjones now has his Marv and is probably going to do the exact same thing that his opponent was trying to do to him, except better and from a better position. Things aren't looking good for CyberStorm. He's got to be rather anemic when it comes to his resources. He does have a surveyor. Maybe that was his goal on how he was going to make his way down to the south, but he needed to move that surveyor a long time ago. He needs to get those lifelines for those resources. Those are going to be really important as the game goes on. Bartjones continuing to scout around looking for his opponent moving into his natural expansion. He is going to probably notice the surveyor there. Yeah, he's definitely going to notice the surveyor there, and he's going to know that it is weak and it is exposed, but he doesn't care because Bartjones is actually dancing right outside his opponent's base, poking and prodding his opponent's defenses, pushing those zone troopers a little bit further out, and meanwhile controlling his secondary natural expansion. And I'm assuming, yep, there it is. The Marv is moving for CyberStorm's base, moving for CyberStorm's resources, going to cut off that vital line. However, the same thing might be able to happen with him. CyberStorm hopefully will have something prepared, but it does not look to be the case. It looks like these units are going to get rather destroyed rather quickly. It does not look like CyberStorm has the forces over it. And actually, we're getting a little bit of assault. The Reclamator hub is getting taken out by Bartjones. There it is. I don't think he was able to get a sell off of it. Bartjones is on the front doorstep of his opponent, and while he is on the front doorstep getting a crush on the south of the Marv, his Marv is continuing to steal the resources. There are the forces of CyberStorm, but I think it's too little too late. There are too many juggernauts, too many units over here, and not enough resources. There it is. There is the GG. CyberStorm throws in the towel, giving another win to Bartjones. I will see you in match number 7. Welcome back, Commander. We are in match 7, round 7 between Bartjones and CyberStorm on the map Tiberium Rift. Over on the left-hand side, we do have Bartjones maintaining his GDI, maintaining his yellow, and over on the right, it looks like CyberStorm has elected to go back to his nod, go back to and keep his red coloring for that. We are going to get a little bit of, hopefully, some sneakiness. CyberStorm's back is absolutely up against a wall. He needs to make some sort of gains here in order to win, or at the very least get some decent amount of practice from this match. Bartjones is definitely a tough opponent to deal with, but not impossible to defeat, and CyberStorm was able to get some good wins off on him. and some good tactics, but the consistency there, the consistency would be the particular problem in this. He needs to be just a little bit more consistent. And the biggest thing with CyberStorm, actually, we have our first little set of bikes over here. We have 3 instead of 4. Typically, you want 4 because I think it's 2 volleys from the rocket squads, or from the riflemen, or not riflemen squads, from the bikes, in order to get some damage dealt. But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to find really any purchase of it. Bartjones was ready and waiting for it, getting some shots off over here on this Pitbull, able to take it out. 1 bike for a Pitbull is a good trade, but not 2 bikes. That is a bit unfortunate. He just didn't quite have the forces. Maybe he was trying to hope that he was being able to catch Bartjones unaware, but we are the 7th game in. If you are not warmed up at this point, I do not know what to tell you. Bartjones has had a lot of time and has probably been practicing for this tournament. I don't know how much these particular players knew in advance. It was at least enough for them to sign up and figure out who their opponent was, I believe, and begin their practicing. But Bartjones just seemed to be one of these more practiced players. Blue Tiberium Harvester is going to get assaulted over here, and I'm not sure that there's anything CyberStorm can do. CyberStorm was not able to get any Blue Tiberium, and he's going to lose a Harvester almost for free. Maybe Bartjones is worried about some sort of ambush, because that is what Bartjones likes to do. There is 2 bikes, but I think it's too little too late. I'm not even really sure I would focus on them, but Bartjones is clearly the more skilled player. I guess he can take out the bikes and continue to take out the Harvester. Maybe not. Those bikes did buy just enough time, but he didn't really gain anything. CyberStorm wasn't able to get enough Blue Tiberium. If he had half a thing of Blue Tiberium, it might have been worth it. But it's also hard to say that because he did lose 2 to 3 bikes in that engagement. I mean, I guess his opponent did lose 1 Pitbull, but so far he's only been able to take out 2 Pitbulls. Nothing major in the gain department for CyberStorm when it comes to these back and forward kills. Both natural expansions seem to be developing quite nicely. It doesn't look like anyone has really touched the Blue Tiberium too much, except for CyberStorm in that small engagement, and it looks like Bartjones has elected to ignore it for the time being. He does actually have the forces to sort of escort his thing back and forward, but the thing is he doesn't have scouting on his opponent, so he doesn't know what Nod is doing. And if you don't scout Nod, things can get really cheeky really quick if you're not careful. Buggy poking its way around, trying to see what it can see, but Bartjones is going to see it on his way up and move his Pitbulls out to try and catch it, but just not able to get it in time, running into a couple of infantry instead. Those infantry have been kind of just hanging out there the entire time. It would be nice to see them move forward, maybe get some scouting, or maybe they were entirely there just to protect the secondary natural expansion of his opponent. Bartjones has been known to take that natural expansion time and time again. Bartjones is also building up a good number of Pitbulls over in the south. Singular bike for CyberStorm is going to make its way over into the south. I'm not sure what that is supposed to do. Scorpion's over here preparing for the inevitable Pitbulls. Not a bad call, especially because he knows his opponent is definitely still producing them. CyberStorm is able to get a little bit of scout out with this bike, or this buggy, so that is probably what he was looking for. He's going to be able to see most of his opponent's space and most of what Bartjones is up to. First SAM turret is down. That is good timing because there are the hammerheads, and he was able to see a hammerhead and get a good scouting off for that. So now he is prepared for those units moving forward. However, this is a good chunk of units for Bartjones. Bartjones has got a good amount of Pitbulls. He's transitioned into his air units, and now he's scouting his opponent's secondary natural expansion. Orca's moving their way in, probably looking for a refinery to take a shot off on, and most importantly, get these scouts off. Reverse move happens just in time, or maybe the Harvester just naturally moved its way out just in time. And I don't think Bartjones is going to be able to see the Redeemer Engineering Facility in time. But the Fog of War does last a while in Kane's Wrath. Upgrades are here. The mortars are here for the Pitbulls, which means they're going to be able to do a lot more damage to these stationary targets, these harvesters, these stationary buildings, as they begin to sort of draw out the forces of his opponent and continue an assault over here in the north. Bartjones is attacking both in the north and in the south, wrapping up a couple of kills. There is an obelisk, kind of an expensive defense, but I guess it's going to be enough to be able to push out his opponent, only killing one of the Pitbulls for his opponent, and it looks like the Scorpions are beginning to push their way to mirror Bartjones' forces, push them out of his base. The Scorpions are definitely going to be a rather vital asset. They are pretty quick, and there is the Redeemer. He is finally out and going, I think a bit ahead of Bartjones. Yep, there he is, a bit ahead of Bartjones. Bartjones is looking like he's posturing to take over once again this secondary natural expansion for CyberStorm. He's been able to capitalize on that time and time again. Not only has he been advancing to his natural expansion most of the time on time, but he's been advancing to his opponent's natural expansion most of the time, cutting off his resources. Because once again, it doesn't matter how skilled of a player you are, you cannot win if you do not have any resources. Stealth tanks are going to be able to get a couple of really good pot shots off on the harvesters. I think I probably would have continued that assault, but that is his call to make. The other important part is that his opponent, Bartjones, is pretty nestled in his natural expansion and is absolutely controlling this. It would be nice to see a little more aggression from CyberStorm. He has had this Redeemer out for some time, and he has had a good chunk of these Scorpions. He could have been moving his way over there or scouting out that natural expansion. He needs to keep constant eyes on his natural expansion. He knows that Bartjones is going to try to take it over and over. Speaking of Bartjones, Bartjones has taken out the old main base of CyberStorm, which is extremely detrimental this time around because CyberStorm has not moved into his secondary natural expansion. Redeemer is finally making its way forward into there, but I think it might be too little too late. Bartjones is pretty heavily in there. He's got a couple of AA batteries, and he's got a couple of Juggernauts ready to go. There is the response, but the late response to the old main base for CyberStorm. CyberStorm was able to get a kill on the Juggernaut over there on the north. More of these stealth tanks ready to move their way in, but the Hammerheads are here. The Hammerheads are ready for them and take them out quick and in a hurry before really anything can happen. Stealth bombers moving their way in. They're going to be able to see that the Marv is harvesting his resources, and I'm assuming we're going to see a little bit of a trap here because Bartjones has done this time and time again, and he's going to be able to see the Redeemer moving its way forward. Redeemer continuing on, but he is completely isolated. He has no Scorpions. He has nothing to do that. And meanwhile, Bartjones sees that the Redeemer is outside of his base, and he's moving these pit bulls into his opponent's base. And actually, if CyberStorm's not careful, he's going to lose this MCV over here. That would be extremely detrimental. That might be the final nail in the coffin if he loses it. There is the sell-off of the units. There are the Scorpions moving their way forward, and he cannot deploy in time. It might be too little too late. These pit bulls can take out the building power of his opponent, and things are not looking good for CyberStorm. I think that's it. I think he is all but dead. His body just has not realized that he has died. He does have a Redeemer, but the Redeemer is never anywhere it needs to be. His forces are never anywhere they need to be. He's just been on the absolute back foot for Bartjones, against Bartjones. We do have an upgrade for the Scorpion tanks. We do have a Vapor Bomb, but it doesn't matter. Maybe Bartjones is being cheeky and Vapor Bombed his own stuff. I'm not sure. We do have an almost heroic Scorpion tank, but it's not going to be able to do too much. He's going to run out of resources. CyberStorm, that is going to run out of resources, and not too much can be done or done with that. He's lost all of his opportunities. Like I said, he is a body that does not know that he is knocked out. He just doesn't have any forces. He doesn't have any resources. There is the scout over there by Bartjones. He's gonna be able to see that he rebuilt his MCV. Maybe he's trying to make his way over to this direction with a couple units here and there. There is the Rage Gen. I don't know where the Redeemer ran its way off to. It looks like it is deciding to fight these Mammoth tanks. He does have enough firepower in order to take out the Mammoth tanks, but I'm not sure how much it's going to matter. More reinforcements over here by Bartjones. He's decided to grab that while the Redeemer continues to try to chase these Mammoth tanks. Not sure you want to be doing that at this point. Stealth Bomber's going to move their way in, give me a little bit of scouting. Hopefully they can get one of these Juggernauts down. That would be a good kill for them, but the Pit Bulls are here. The Pit Bulls are ready for the stealth, for the sneakiness of the Nod faction. Redeemer is still chasing that Mammoth tank. I'm not sure what CyberStorm is really doing there. There's only so much he's gonna be able to do with that Marv, and that Marv is actually gonna end up in that Redeemer's gonna end up in a bad spot. His construction yard is also in a bad spot after the secondary construction yard goes down. That is 7,000 for each construction yard, or that's 7,000 for both construction yards combined, 3,500 for each, unless Master Leaf has decreased the cost of that. That's at least the vanilla cost from what I remember. Redeemer moving his way forward, but he does not have the Rage Gen, I believe, available. He's going to start fighting the Marv with absolutely no support. I'm not sure what he's doing, honestly, still in this game. I'm not sure why he's not using his Scorpion tanks whatsoever. He has lost this fight. There's not much he can do. Even if Bartjones makes a massive mistake, he has the economy to move forward against those mistakes. Does look like there is a third MCV out there, and it's not going to be able to do enough. There it goes. It's taken down unit after unit, building after building. He has almost no infrastructure left. He cannot build any more buildings. What he has is what he has, and I don't even think that he has a war factor. He does not. He has built a Hand of Nod, and he's got that out, and he's sort of stubbornly hanging on to this. We did get a little bit of long distance harvesting for this harvester, but it's not going to matter too much. These units this is all he's got left. There's not much he can do. He is able to take out these juggernauts left and right, so he is still fighting this back and forward, but with a Marv in his base, with him having low power for this obelisk, there's just nothing he can do. He does do the sell-off of the T3, and he just has nothing but air units left. I'm still absolutely baffled why he is still in this game. He is lost. It is over. My guy, I know you want the money. I know you want the win, but you can't squeeze water out of a rock, and right now you were the water, or you were the rock. There's just not too much we're going to do. We may actually be able to get a kill on the Marv, but I kind of think Bartjones is just messing with him at this point. Bartjones is just sort of taking his time. He knows that he's won. He knows that he's going to be able to move on, and he knows that his opponent has absolutely nothing left. And there it is. There's the GG. CyberStorm finally sees the writing on the wall. CyberStorm does call it in. He was able to get some pretty good wins there, but a player like Bartjones and facing off of him this early on in the bracket series is a bit unfortunate. Bartjones is definitely more practiced this time around than CyberStorm, and was able to irk out the wins, was able to control the economy for the majority of the match, and more importantly, control his opponent. Thank you so much for tuning in, Commander. This has been the tournament for IE. I forget the acronym for it. I'll see you the next one.